Yes, sir.
So just to break the awkward silence, all the first year students, how was your experience of the auditions with our community, in our community? If anyone can turn on their mic and just talk while everyone is setting up their video cams from the second years. So if anyone from the first year would like to chat, just so that the awkward silence is not there. Anyone? So Soumya was speaking. If Soumya he wants to have a chat, then he can. No one is willing. Okay.
Sir,
Yes. Yeah. Soumya, please speak.
sir, actually, audition round was for me was uh, I can say it was the first time for me a platform where I could speak out for myself or for public speaking. I've tried in school life, but I haven't been very active in that sense. But this the online event that was organized, the audition round, it was the first ever which I took very serious. So yeah, it had a lot of importance for me.
Glad to hear that. Even when we were in our second year, so we conducted offline auditions for our debater, and I'm sure that no one from the second year at least would say that they didn't enjoy that particular process. Even we did enjoy ourselves very much. So it is all part of the process. People actually have this misconception that effective oration is also a very practiced skill. So you have to constantly practice and revise and learn until unless you get sufficiently good enough. So it's to some level of adequacy, you have to just repeat and repeat and repeat. So this is all repetition, and the main drill is to make this repetition more enjoyable as a whole. So I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed that process. What is taking so long, second year? Jurors, why you're not turning on your cameras? It's not giving off a good impression that I have to scold you in front of your juniors. Jurors and the hosts. Okay, so Vishaka has turned on the camera. Rest of you guys, Aryan, Ayush, Kishle, Minakshi. Okay, I don't want to do name calling. So, okay, now Aryan is also visible. Ayush is also visible. We'll wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll carry on with Soumya's speech. And accordingly, we'll ask the questions and move ahead to the event.
Juniors, are we ready to start? I think Krishna is
Yes, I
not
guess
here.
we are good to go.
Okay. So, do we wait for Krishna or shall we start?
I think
Wait for
we should
one
wait
more
for two
minute
minutes.
till 12:35 or 12:36, and then you should start. If in case if they're not turning on their camera, then I'll see what to do with them. You should now start, Vishaka. I guess we have sufficient visible jewelers right now. So you can start.
Okay, so we have our first participant, Soumya Mishra.
Good afternoon, respected ma'ams and respected sirs. Respected ma'am, Soumya Mishra, first BTech Mechanical Engineering. My personality is Thanos, and I'm being charged with the murder of half of the universe. My arguments in that favor are greed roots. As I create more resources or even enough resources for every individual on earth, it would not even suffice, as everyone wants to acquire the maximum, and there is no definition of having a maximum amount of resources. Selfishness. Almost everyone on this planet is self centered. Therefore, anything negative that happens to them will lead for harm to others, and this cycle continues indefinitely. Humans being inhuman. After I wipe out half of the universe, it will have no impact on people who did not lose anyone from the other half, which speaks volumes about our humanity. The illusion of control. Many believe they can solve these problems by other means, but I've seen civilizations falling apart due to their inability to confront the existence of life. My approach cuts to the illusion of control and addresses the core issue directly. I am often seen as a villain, but my choice was born from a desire to save the universe from the existence itself. Sacrifices must be made for the greater good, even if they're hard to accept. My actions force the universe to confront the word of life, value of life, and face the reality of loss. I believe individuals will start appreciating what they have, fostering a deeper respect for the existence. My actions are influenced by the devastation of my home planet, Titan. I've witnessed firsthand what happens when people start ignoring the situation of overpopulation or resource depletion. I personally sacrificed my beloved daughter Gamora to acquire the Soul Stone. This was not just a means to an end, it demonstrates my commitment and the gravity of choices I make. With this, I conclude myself. Thank you.
Okay, so Swami, am I audible?
Yes,
Okay, so what gave you the moral authority to decide who dies and who lives?
sir, I've seen the extension on my planet, and therefore I guess I have the will and the strength to decide or to choose to choose me as the savior for the universe. I've seen perspective of many of the civilizations. But they cannot portray the greater picture, the better picture of the complete universe.
No, no, but my question is still unanswered. Who gave you the moral authority to choose who lives and who dies?
Sir, I've not classified or distincted between who is going to live and who is going to die. But my aim was just to wipe out the half of the universe, irrespective of who is living and who is dying. It's a hard choice, but it needs to be done. That's why I did it.
Okay, so why you didn't use the Infinity Stone to increase resources rather than wiping out half of the population?
That could be an option, but the suffering would not stop even that, because civilizations always used to expand. They always tend to expand, and when the resources will increase, the imbalance will continue to grow. The people with power and resources will continue to get more resources, and those who are not with resources will continue to get loss of even that. The imbalance will continue, the expansion will continue, and therefore sufferings will never end. Therefore, resources expansion or doubling or tripling and increasing resources would not be a sufficient answer.
Okay, so if any other juror wants to ask anything, maybe.
Mr. Somme, I feel that your actions were a result of your selfishness of acquiring all the Infinity Stones and becoming the most powerful person. How will you justify this?
So my aim was never to become the most powerful person. My aim was to work for the humanity, to work for the universe, and it was never to be the powerful, the most powerful. It was just a means to get to my goal, and the goal was very clear: to improve the humanity, improve the existence on this universe.
If any
Okay.
other juror wants to ask any questions, please
Yes.
proceed
Yes,
ahead.
Arif. Soumya,
Yes, sir.
following the events of Avengers Endgame and the unprecedented sacrifice of people on Earth and from numerous other planets, after they reversed their actions, in your own words, you said that now I'll make a whole new world, people where people don't even know the past and they'll only know me and they'll have no option but to obey me. So right now you just answered that you had no greed for power and you didn't seek any sort of strength for yourself or any greatness for yourself, and you were a very self-entitled person that you were acting in an act of greatness and compassion. How do you justify your own statement after your actions were reversed? And you changing sides and jumping ship and saying that you will now erase whole of humanity, and not only humanity, whole of existence from being, and then you'll create a new world where you are the only god. Don't you think that you were also misled by your own ideals and you didn't have any idea where you were leading to?
Sir, actually, I was inspired by by the events that occurred in my planet, the extinction and the overpopulation and resource depletion that I personally faced. Therefore, the idea of wiping out the whole humanity and me being the god is, I guess, is not the perspective I want to showcase. My perspective is very simple: that people will not just be selfish, would not be just selfish and suffer the scarcity of resources. Instead, they would be in a place where they have abundance of resources, and no greed and no selfishness would lead to expansion, and therefore no fights and anything like that.
Mr. Thanos from the moon titan of Saturn, I'd like to inform you that you have completely failed to answer my question. And I'd again reiterate that the Avengers were right in doing what they did, and you still haven't learned a thing from past. And I hope that you learn very soon. And if you even don't, then don't worry, we have people to take countermeasures. Thank you. I'm done. If any of the jurors will want to answer, ask questions, then please.
Okay, so Sam, I have a question for you. Like, how can you justify your argument that your action caused unnecessary suffering to the millions of families?
I agree that it caused unnecessary. The actions were a lot of unnecessary chaos, but it was for a greater good. I've said in a lot of times, and I'm saying it again, that it was for greater good, and some steps need to be accepted, even if it is tough. Therefore, I did that. And
Okay,
talking
so
about the
you
Avengers,
said, hmm. Yes, yes,
talking about
continue.
the Avengers, I would like to say that they are blinded by their own emotions and chaos of their own world. Therefore, again, I'm saying that they're not able to see the greater picture. I have seen other planets, other civilizations, and my own planet. Therefore, I can see the greater picture, and I was not able to see the perspective. I could not see the perspective that was needed for the uh, good for this existence of humanity or existence of any civilization on the whole universe.
Okay, so as you said, you do agree that it is an unnecessary thing. So why doing this such an act?
Actually, I had other options as well, but other options will only lead to greater suffering. So the best option that I had was to wipe out half of the universe.
Okay, other jury.
Okay,
Yes,
so
very quickly.
Soumya,
Raj, excuse me for a minute. Soumya, sorry, not
Yes,
Soumya. Uh, Thanos from the moon titan of Saturn. You know,
yes, sir.
greater picture. You're again and again repeating those same words. I guess the only greater picture that you saw was a clean slate where nothing existed, and you were the only one ruling on an empty void. So, just a comment, Raj, please.
so Soumya, the basis of your entire argument is that humans are inherently greedy and selfish. So how can you justify this assumption? Because you said that human greed is responsible for the depletion of resources, etc., etc. So how can you justify that humans are inherently greedy? How can you justify this
This is
assumption?
not, this is not an assumption. I guess this is a fact, and I believe I've seen the greediness. I've seen the greediness on other civilizations as well, on the planet of Earth. I've seen that as well. The greediness leads to the expansion and to get more resources, and therefore, it's a fact. It's not an assumption. They are greedy. And I've used almost, I've not used everyone, I've used the word almost. So I'm not saying to everyone, but almost everyone is greedy and self-centered as well.
So don't you think humans are greedy because they are socially conditioned to become greedy, or they are inherently and intrinsically greedy? How do you justify that?
I guess the evolution of humans uh, was always around the resources. To get the resources, it was very back when they were living for the survival. But the time when the extinction of my planet arrived and when I arrived to Earth, it was just all about greediness. It was all about expanding themselves to get more power and resources. So the idea of survival was way back, and now the present situation was not anything about survival.
I mean, that is a very Machiavellian approach. Think about it, because humans are social animals. So, other jurors, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are.
Soumya, I have one question. You just talked about the greater picture, like you saw all those destruction happening
Excuse
on
me,
your planet.
he's Thanos, not Soumya. We keep that in mind.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm saying he's Thanos, not Soumya. So keep that in mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. You just talked about the greater picture, right? So, how can you be sure that the approach you took would work?
The approach I took was because I've seen other options as well. Expanding the civilization, creating multiple universes, expanding the resources would not work. The core behavior, the existence of the human existence will not going to change. So I feel the approach I took was the best that I knew.
And you assumed that all that options won't work, right?
Yes, I
Just
assumed
assume.
I've seen. Yeah, you can say I've assumed. Yeah.
Then why didn't you try for a better option? Why did you instantly think about wiping half of the
In my
universe?
perspective, I had the best option, and I worked on that as only. My best option was to wipe out half the universe, and I worked on that only.
All right. Other tutors, if
Well, Thanos, I guess you were not out buying detergent for your clothing line, so you were guessing and working on assumptions. You were actually wiping out half of existence. So you could have acted in better judgment, but still, if you're acting on assumptions, then we can also assume that your plan was an absolute pile of, I won't say the word, but yes. So I guess that is enough cross questioning. We can move on to the next candidate. One feedback, though, Soumya, that if you are
Yes,
embodying Thanos, then Thanos is the ultimate source of self confidence, and according to his his beliefs, he is the most for quote unquote he is cursed with knowledge. So a person cursed with knowledge is either highly arrogant or either highly humble. But you tell me, what did you see from Thanos? Was he highly arrogant or was he highly humble?
highly arrogant.
So you should have implemented that, incorporated that in your delivery. Anyways, please move ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
so. Let's move on to another participant. First, PJ, food technology. It's Joker and his language is English.
Am I clearly audible and visible, respected ma'ams and respected sirs?
Yes, Abhishek, you are visible. You can start.
Good afternoon, respected
You're
ma'ams.
audible, all right, Abhishek. Your video is so not very clear. We can work with that as long as you're not cheating. So please go ahead.
Good afternoon, respected ma'ams and respected sirs. Abhishek Verma, first BTech Food Technology. So today you've caught me, the Joker, accused of creating chaos in America, stirring up all sorts of problems, racism included. Before you slap that villain label on me, let's dive deeper. What am I really up to? First, let's talk about chaos. You know what I said? Introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. What if my chaos isn't about spreading racism? What if I'm just shining a light on the chaos that's already there? Chaos that racism feeds on. Think about it like peeling back the layers of an onion. A little messy, right? But you need to get to the core, don't you? Now let me ask you this. How often do we avoid those difficult conversations about racism? My wild antics, crashing that mob meeting, stirring the pot. What if they're forcing you to face some uncomfortable truths? I'm like that friend who barges into your life uninvited and says, "Surprise! Time to deal with your problems." Sure, it's awkward, but it's also essential. You can't just keep ignoring what's right in front of you. So here's the deal. My chaos doesn't target any specific race. I'm not about racism. I'm not about oppressing anyone. What I do target is the system, the twisted little system that keep people oppressed. Remember when I said, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Society calls me the villain, but why? Because I'm pointing out the cracks, the inequalities that already exist? I'm just holding up a mirror, folks. You just don't like what you see. Let's not forget my famous line. I'm so serious, mate. Yeah, I use that to remind everyone not to get so uptight about the uncomfortable truths. I'm pushing you to confront the things you don't want to. So let's rethink the whole idea of me being a bad guy. Am I really the one? Am I really the one? I am not the one stirring up the chaos around racism. I am just holding up the mirror to the chaos that's already there. Don't forget, I said madness, it's like gravity. All it takes is just a little push. Tell me, am I guilty of creating the chaos in the name of racism? Or am I just pushing you to face the uncomfortable truths you've been avoiding way too long? Thank you very much.
Okay, Abhishek. My first question to
Joker.
you is,
Joker, not
I'm
Abhishek.
sorry, Joker. Yes, sir. So, Joker, I feel that all your actions were done by you just because of your fun. You were not doing anything for the betterment of society or for taking from rich and giving it to the poor. What is your take on this?
See, I am a guy of simple taste. What I do like is dynamite, gunpowder, and gasoline. See, I'm not about the betterment of the society, but I'm not posting anything about racism, right? You remember when I robbed the bank? I just burned all the stuff, all the money by myself. Mob meeting. I am not about racism. I deal the same with the whites, the same with the blacks. I do not care which race are you. I'm an agent of chaos. I just deal with that.
All right, Joker. You just said you were a mirror to the society, right? You were mirroring their actions.
Yes, I did.
So after you saw the actions, you were mirroring them, but don't you think you went to the extremes? And how would you justify the extremes you did?
You've got a point there. Anyway, let's get to the point. I am the mirror to the society. Everyone in the society right now needs money. It is not about rich or it's not about poor. Everyone is focused on money. I am just mirroring these images. What people feel deep down in their hearts about the other societal people. I'm just a mirror to that, folks. I'm not mirroring the counterparts of the society. I'm just doing what society wants and the societal norms, what people would think about them. I just don't follow rules. Life is simple. You know, I famously said, whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you a stranger.
Okay, so Joker. One is as corrupt, as morally corrupt as you, disproven by Batman. And others who consistently choose good over evil. How do you respond to that? And doesn't their resistance to your manipulation prove that people can rise above chaos?
See, Batman, there are some peoples like Batman. He's just an insect bounded in the societal norms. See, people at the last moment show who really are. You put a bullet in his head or in a person's head and put his family on stake, he'll show his true colors. Batman and people like him, they are just like the evidence of those insects bounded by the societal norms. He's not following what he needs to do.
Aren't you creating your own set of rules through violence and terror? How are your actions different from like imposing your violence, your version of order through fear?
See, I don't follow any order. I am just said, as I said earlier, I am a guy of simple taste. What I do like,